we had so much of our equipment was damaged. We had, we had some of our tents blow away. It was really, really tough.
This video is a chunk of my recently released podcast with legendary Doctor Who director Jamie Magnus Stone. If you listen along and enjoy, you can check out the full episode in the description down below.
Some Doctor Who talk now. So you mentioned COVID earlier. How was filming Flux during COVID? Because the pandemic did a lot of strange things to the entire world, and making TV in that time, wasn't Doctor Who one of about 3 or 4 shows that was actually, because you didn't get shut down once, right?
No, we didn't. We were. I mean, it definitely added extra pressures on top of what's ordinarily quite a kind of a hectic show to shoot anyway. But no, we were very fortunate that we didn't get shut down. I mean, partly I think that's because we're, as a production, Doctor Who's quite agile anyway. We quite often have to, spring to our feet and, a location falls through or jump somewhere else. That's a degree of kind of flexibility and agility has been part of the norm anyway. So, while I was filming War of the Centaurans or that whole block, actually, we'd have actors testing positive sometimes or crew members falling down, and you just need to kind of pivot and change plans really quickly. But I think the whole production team were quite good at that anyway. So we were thankfully able to kind of pivot and keep the show shooting rather than needing full shutdowns when COVID did happen, which we did have some cases, but we were able to kind of ride it out. And it did make things more complicated on set. You had cohorts, and I mean, personally, I found it just quite hard to, just sort of recognize who, 100 people on the crew and everyone's got masks and you're trying to just find the right person and do the right thing, or speak up and be heard. I found it quite tricky. There was a guy on set all the time whose job it was to kind of prod you apart if you were standing too close or if you were, forgetting to put your mask up and things. So it was a weird time. But everyone, actually the almost the most on it person on the kind of the COVID lookout was Jodie. She was even more kind of assiduous and keen-eyed than the COVID supervisor. So Jodie was I think acutely aware of how easily we could be shut down, and she was forever kind of spotting and making sure that everyone had their masks up, and mine was always slipping down. She was always telling me, to go. So she may well have actually kept the show on the road herself because she was so very on it. But it did make things challenging, especially when you've got prosthetics and you've got, there's a lot of reasons why a lot of people have to be touching people's faces all the time. But we managed.
I've got to say congratulations, because it turned out really well. Like, I think especially War of the Centaurans is one of my favourite Doctor Who episodes. And I don't think you can really tell that it was filmed during COVID, which I think, considering all of the stuff you guys were up against, is incredibly impressive. So congratulations for that. Oh,
thanks.
Now, you mentioned working with Jodie. Obviously, you've had to work with all the main cast of that era of Doctor Who. How were they? were they all nice? I've heard so many positive stories about Jodie Whittaker and all of that lot.
Yeah, I've got nothing but positive things to say about Jodie Whittaker. She's just so kind of ebullient and so good at kind of lifting the spirits of everyone on the set around her. She was kind of super kind to everyone on the set, no matter if you were an executive producer or a runner just in for the day. I'm really kind of generous as well, because when she often had the most dialogue in every scene. Sometimes there's late rewrites that she still needed to kind of get her head around. So much technobabble, so much kind of pressure on her. But then she would, if we were pushed for time or something like that, and we had a guest actor in, she'd be like, Jamie, like, if you want, you can shoot them first, and then, because whoever goes last, if it's the end of the day, kind of sometimes has to rush through. And she was very kind of generous about going, look, you should, I don't mind if you do her first and do me last. So she was very just really generous, genuinely kind of doctor-like in that kind of, in how kind of caring she was. So yeah, she was just terrific. And they were, and the kind of TARDIS team was genuinely felt, I mean, it's almost a cliche, but it felt like a family. They were so tight. In series 12 with Tosin and Bradley, and then and then with John Bishop the following year. They were just kind of laughing and making each other smile the whole time. In fact, especially with Bradley, sometimes it was hard to kind of get them to stop smiling. Sometimes they're like, "Oh, guys, this is a serious scene." Yeah. And Bradley tended to just make it his aim to try and make the other characters, the other actors' corpse if the camera is on them and not him. Yeah. So yeah, they're just a truly kind of warm and loving bunch of people, and a pleasure to spend time with.
Yeah, that's fantastic to hear. And how was it collaborating with Chris Chibnall as well?
Chris is wonderfully collaborative. He's so kind of, agile and open to ideas. And, as I said, for myriad reasons, you're kind of quite often sort of standing on shifting sands while you're in production, because things are changing either with the scripts or just the reality of the ambition of the shows like this, and then but sometimes the budgets don't quite cover the amount of ambition, so you've got to be clever about what you do. And he was always so kind of open to suggestions and solutions, like me on basically my first day WhatsApping him and running through the vines, and he'd go, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea, cool, I'll do that." So he was very sort of super warm, super receptive, and lovely.
Yeah, that's fantastic to hear. Also, I've got a short story for you. Do you remember Johnny Mathers, the man who played Passenger?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Well, he reached out to me after I made a couple of videos, and he's in the next Echo film in full costume. And
is that him? Because I saw him in the trailer for that, and I was like, that's a good Passenger costume. It looks almost like the one that we have. Exactly like the one that we have. So that's actually him. Oh, good stuff.
And the costume is made, it's an identical replica by the guy who made the original Passenger costume, because he made one for Johnny afterwards. And he's now just got the full get-up. But yeah, he's an absolutely lovely person. Yeah.
Yeah, he's really sweet, Johnny. I really liked working with him. Again, I think because he always came onto set already. I know it was a mask rather than prosthetic heavy, but I kind of hardly ever saw his face on set.
Yeah, I remember him talking about as well. He said, the initial bit where there's Swarm and Azure and then him on the stairs, he was saying how originally he was having to try and walk down the stairs, but he couldn't see out the front of the mask and all of that. But yeah, he said everyone was absolutely lovely, and it all worked out, and it looks good in the final episode. So yeah,
it's such a classic Doctor Who villain weakness. This, I know that the cliche is the Daleks can't get you up the stairs, although I know they can now. But that was always the old idea. Yeah. But actually, it's true of any Doctor Who villain. Basically, Cybermen have trouble on stairs. It was the end of Timeless Children, I think, with the Jadoon appear in the TARDIS. It's the only time I shot with Jadoon. It was 2 shots. They had to go up 2 stairs on the TARDIS, and it was the most complicated thing of people hiding behind them to support them up 2 stairs. So anyone who's got any kind of mask, it's stairs are just one of these complicated things. Even getting angels on the stairs in Village of the Angels was tricky. So yeah, stairs, the ultimate Doctor Who,
the ultimate villain. If you had to pick a scene from Flux that was the most difficult to do, I'm guessing it would be something in the Crimea, because I remember when the filming photos for that were coming out, it was actual rain, freezing temperatures, cold. So yeah, which would you say was the most challenging scene for you to do of that entire shoot? Yeah,
you're right. As soon as you said it, my head went to War of the Sontarans and the Crimea section of that, which I actually really like now looking back at it, but at the time it was tough. And that was actually another, I suppose, side effect of COVID, is that in any other year we would have gone away kind of abroad to film those scenes, and which would have guaranteed slightly better weather. But because we ended up filming in, I think, October or something like that in Wales, it was just sideways sleet and sideways rain the whole time. We had so much of our equipment was damaged. We had we had some of our tents blow away. It was really, really tough, and also with the Sontaran's prosthetic, which reacted badly to the rain as well. It was really tough and really kind of miserable at the time. But I remember feeling it kind of gave that episode like a mood, I thought, of kind of, because Ray Holman and I had been looking at old kind of photos of Crimea, and it's not that it was that wet and muddy, but there was like a kind of a real squalor to the kind of the soldiers' lives back then. And I think the fact that those exterior locations looked so kind of like mud covered and drenched and kind of just blasted by the elements, I thought it gave kind of a really heavy, oppressive mood to those Crimea scenes that I think worked. At least that's what I was trying to tell myself and the crew as we were like frozen to the bone on the day, just covered in rain and wet and sleet. The Crimea scenes were tough just from a being against the elements perspective, but ultimately I think that gave them something nice in the end.
Yeah, I think it really does. It adds to the mood so much, because it's also like you can see Jodie and the cast are like visibly cold, and I think it fits so nicely. Yeah.
I saw that a lot of people seem to be a fan of like Jodie's slightly tousled hair in the episode, which was the hair and makeup department doing a great job of basically just having to work with the fact that her hair was just wet the whole time. Yeah. If you went outside for 2 seconds, you'd get soaked. You don't always see the rain on camera unless you backlight it, but it's just there, this ever-present sort of damp sort of mizzle all the time. Anyway, yeah.
So on the flip side of that, what would you say is your favourite scene that you've filmed? This is out of any Doctor Who stuff you've done. What's the scene you go, we absolutely nailed that?
It's a toss-up.
If you want to hear more, head to the link in the description or the pinned comment for the full podcast. And as ever, if you did enjoy, please do remember to like, comment, subscribe and share. It really helps me out a lot. You can also check out the Patreon for exclusive videos, etc. Thanks for watching and goodbye.